Rebuke you,
I
devil.
rebuke you, devil. I am healed in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Ah, God, I've not had this kind of pain in a very long time. I
So
see this kind of thing.
sorry.
You know, they do you like film trick, but we don't look like what we go through. Yeah.
That's good.
How have you been?
I've been good.
How is all the personal developmental stuff going on?
I was recently made head of department.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, I've been trying to, because I'm working on a new product. We currently have three. I was working on 3 products. They added like the biggest product to my portfolio. So it's been a lot. But I have an amazing team. So they've really been very supportive and putting me through that new product, because that's what I've been working on for years. So I'm just joining them. And yeah, so let's see. Like, fingers crossed. I'm excited for the challenge.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Nothing like personal growth. Oh. I live and breathe and sleep. I like literally, right? I like when I meet people and 2 months later they've stepped up the game. They are in a bigger role, bigger position. I mean, progress is any day, anytime. I pick it.
Yeah.
Hi Shay, how are you?
Hi, Uwa.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
All these melanin people today. We
Yes,
can
so we are shining bright like a
let
diamond.
the yellow people breathe. How are you?
I'm alright.
Your dress is actually very lovely.
Thank
Is
you
that
very
your
much.
that your tailor? That your
Yes,
commodity
overconsumption.
my consumption tailor? I watched that show. I was just laughing.
Yes. Thank you.
That's
I'm
it.
very well. How are you too?
I'm good. We will survive. We'll survive. Mary Oma Williams. How are you doing?
I'm alright, I'm okay.
Mary,
I like your earrings
Mary,
and your
I was just
hair.
gonna say, even
You
with
know,
the,
I
even
said
with the
last
wristwatch, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that, Mary, how did you feel over the last weekend watching that Indian wedding as a luxury retailer? What were you thinking?
I wish I could just have the man as a client. That's all.
Right?
I will
Can
be
you
from this wedding. I would have built
Imagine
house.
gifting 15 of his friends a 250,000 wristwatch. Limited edition.
Wow.
Yeah.
That wedding was.
The wedding was not sweet.
It
It was
was
not
big.
fun. The one in India, yes.
Yes.
Oh, it was that big?
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
just saw a clip. Oh.
How
Yeah,
many
and I
months
didn't
wedding?
watch
I think it was like 3-4 months.
No, well, I don't
No, the
know how many.
activities started
Yes, the
since
activities.
Yes,
Yeah.
started since.
But this was the grand finale. It was not funny.
Oh, nice.
Money.
All the who is who in the world were
Was
there.
there? Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it was a beautiful wedding. It was a very beautiful wedding. So I was just imagining Mary inside that mix, luxury seller.
I was just looking. I was like, wow, one person, one
Right.
family rather.
One family, oh. And to think that they were high school sweethearts.
Yeah.
They've
So we're
been
16.
together for over how many years? You know, I think maybe 10, 15 years they've been dating.
Wow.
You know, so all these stories about if a man dates you more than 2 months and he has not proposed, that one, it depends on who
We're
the
still
man is.
children now.
I mean, it also depends on when you met. You're talking about
Yeah.
high school. How do
High
you expect
school
some people from...
sweethearts.
Are you expecting them to marry you in university or
Abi.
something? No, so they will have to wait. If you do an entire
I
high
say,
school,
now, wow.
entire
I
university,
say, God,
it's long.
God, I'm watching you. All right, so if you are yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, it's at Official Upgrade TV. And remember to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification as well. Share your links to families and friends to also subscribe. All right, so tonight we're having a conversation around the UAE travel ban updates. And we have none other than David Hudain that will be joining us, because me, this matter, I don't want to put my mouth. Let me just hear from the people that have done the groundwork. And here's what we found as today's quote. To travel is to discover that everyone is wrong about other countries. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, we're having a conversation around the travel ban in the UAE. But first, when we open our phone lines, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But first, let's go on a break. When we come back from that break, we want to see what we found in today's news. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, the Nelson Mandela Day is celebrated annually on July 18th to honor Nelson Mandela's legacy and promote his values of peace, democracy, social justice. Now, the day was established by the United Nations in 2009, marking what would have been Mandela's 91st birthday. Nelson Mandela was a South African anti-apartheid revolutionary political leader and philanthropist who served as president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. He was the country's first black head of state and the first elected in a fully representative democratic election. How to observe Nelson Mandela Day is through community service, educational initiative, advocacy awareness, donations, and fundraising, reflecting, and of course, investing in education. All right, so Nelson Mandela, who is his fan here?
Oh well, we love the man. Everybody loves him, right? And he did really well. I watched the movie. I've forgotten the title.
The one that Idris Elba did?
Yes, and I just got to know more about him, what he did, beyond the surface story that said, oh, he did this, got to know about his family. So he did really well, and I'm glad that we are still celebrating him, and it's amazing to see.
It's interesting how you mentioned movie. We've done a movie for Wale Soyinka.
Oh, yeah.
Marking his 90th birthday. So the man died. That's the name of the movie. So we are waiting for them to release it in the cinema to go watch. It's just a part of his story. We had Femi Odugbemi on Monday come talk about it. So it's interesting. All right, so let me come to you, Jennifer. What did you find for us in today's news?
So mine is a bit interesting. President Tinubu approves 70,000 naira minimum wage. So on Thursday, the leaders of Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress met with the president at the President Villa in Abuja, where they discussed about the minimum wage, and the president has approved this minimum wage with the promise to review the national minimum wage law every 3 years. I mean, it's sounds nice, right? But until it has been implemented, before I can personally believe that this is what is going to happen, right? 70,000 as opposed to what was being given before is a good leap. Is a good leap. But then, let's just see. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for me. Fingers crossed. So, although in this current economy that we are in, I don't even think 70K can do anything for anybody. If we're being very, very honest, 70K cannot do anything for you in a month. So, I don't know. I really don't like talking about money right now with the way the economy is. It's not a very pleasant topic for me. So, yeah, that's what I think.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Shay, what did you find for
All
us?
right, so Lagos not returning monthly environmental sanitation. The Lagos State government on Wednesday said it had not reintroduced the monthly environmental sanitation and is not starting any movement restriction by July ending. The State's Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, said contrary to the news on the internet, the state was not reintroducing monthly sanitation. This was contained in a statement by the ministry's Director of Public Affairs, Kunle Adeshino. Wahab urged all residents to go about their lawful businesses, adding that there would be no restriction of movement on the last Saturday of July as circulated in some news reports. So recall that 2 weeks ago or thereabouts, the news broke out that the Lagos State government wanted to reintroduce the monthly environmental sanitation. But now the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, has come out to say that the news is false, and the news that said they were going to begin the environmental sanitation by July ending is false. And I understand that, yes, they did not say it is compulsory, but this is also a call to everybody to keep their environments clean. Don't wait for them to say, okay, there is a compulsory environmental sanitation before you keep your environment clean. So that's what I wanted to mention.
Mary Oma Williams.
Exchange rates reaches 1,600 naira per dollar at parallel markets and hits 1,630 naira per dollar on online platforms. I have no comments about that, but it will be well with us.
It is well.
Were you trying to put hypertension inside my already weak body? This is
Why? No, it's what it is now. We have to hear it regardless.
court
but-
reinstates Schweibu as deputy governor, nullifies impeachment. Now Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja has nullified the impeachment of Philip Schweibu as the deputy governor of Edo State. Delivering the judgment on Wednesday, Justice Omotosho mandated Schweibu's reinstatement, citing that the Edo State House of Assembly, the House of Assembly's failure to adhere to due process during the impeachment. The judge also annulled the appointment of Schweibu's replacement, ruling that the allegations used to justify the impeachment did not meet legal thresholds for gross misconduct. I'll just leave it there. Edo State is looking very interesting right now with the elections round the corner. I'm really looking forward to start to speak with people in Edo State. I don't know how this happened. I don't know why there's always a big issue between deputies and their governors. This was completely avoidable, if you ask me. But hey, who am I? We'll take a break. When we come back from that break, let's have a conversation around UAE ban lift, and we have David today who will be joining us. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying with us. On July 10th, the UAE officially lifted its visa ban on Nigerian travelers, a major shift after months of diplomatic tension. But there's a new twist in the tale. Investigative journalist David Rain has uncovered that under President Tinubu's government, a dubious website charged Nigerians up to 680,000 for document verification services to Dubai. Money funneled through Flutterwave. The UAE government, however, has strongly denied these allegations, and they've said that they have nothing to do with that website. And tonight, we want to have a conversation around this investigation that has happened and all the latest updates on the UAE travel ban. And we have with us none other than the journalist himself, David Hudain. He's also the founder of West Africa Weekly, a Subtrack newsletter, and he's joined us via Zoom this evening. Thank you so much, David, for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, you see this Nigeria matter. Every time I'm having Nigeria, I'm having palpitations, right? First of all, the UAE travel ban, right? I didn't even think it was going to drag up until this time. It seemed like a joke when they said that Dubai had banned Nigerians from, traveling to the UAE. It just seemed like, something that was not, because, I mean, if you check visa, how Nigerians travel in the past, people that could not get access to maybe a UK visa or a US visa, the next option was to go to Dubai. I know so many people that started businesses, right? Just going to Dubai with very little money to go buy goods, come back, sell. And that was how their businesses grew. So it was actually a very, very rude shock for me to see that Dubai had banned Nigeria. I kept on wondering why that happened. But the fact that the ban then lingered to the time that it did, right, it just begs the question, for what purpose? Second point, is the fact that the government kept on coming to say, oh, this ban had been lifted and the ban was not lifted. Even right now, I don't even know the authenticity of this ban lift, but I hear that, they have actually agreed that, yes, the ban has been lifted. But with this latest development of, a verification website, I don't know what is going on, but I've heard you say in several quarters that, those websites have been traced to very, very fraudulent, persons or people or whatever. So just help us break down what you think, what the latest update of this UAE ban, travel ban, for those that are not aware, right? What is the latest on this travel ban with the UAE?
Okay, so on Monday, the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, put out a public statement saying that the governments of Nigeria and UAE had finally come to a diplomatic agreement ending the UAE visa ban on Nigerian passport holders. And as you may or may not know, one of the bones of contention, I guess, that had kept the ban subsisting for as long as it did was that the UAE had kept on insisting that the Nigerian government does a very poor job of documenting who actually leaves Nigeria under what identity to go to the UAE, because the UAE had a problem of some sort of criminal activity originating from Nigeria, people having access to multiple identities from Nigeria, multiple passports and other government issued ID documents. So that had been a bone of contention. So purportedly to resolve that problem, what Mohammed Idris announced was that there'll be a platform that would be used to verify the documents being submitted by Nigerian visa applicants to the UAE. Now, where it got interesting was that this platform, which was called the Document Verification Hub.ae, was presented in a way that suggested very strongly that this was somehow part of the UAE visa application process for a Nigerian passport holder, and that it was, in fact, a UAE government
owned website
mandated thing. So even the use of the .ae domain, the AE is obviously the domain for the United Arab Emirates. So if you don't know any better, you would think that that means that it's the UAE government that is behind that website. In actual fact, the domain for UAE government websites is .gov.ae, not .ae. Right? It's kind of like how we have .gov.ng and .ng. Anyone can get a .ng domain, but to get a .gov.ng domain, you have to be a government entity, obviously. So, but obviously, these people know that most Nigerians probably don't know these things. So people who went on this document verification hub.ae website, then discovered very quickly that there's a humongous charge for the so-called document verification, which I guess is where the first alarm bells started to ring. Because if you are a Nigerian government that is verifying Nigerian government ID documents submitted by Nigerian citizens as part of a visa application process, why on earth is this process costing 640,000 naira? And then the other very onerous conditions that the person must show $10,000 in their bank account, and that this verification is only valid for 14 days at a time, meaning that if you've traveled to the UAE multiple times in a year and you have to apply for the visa more than once, you're going to spend millions basically on just these applications. And then most egregiously of all, it was then stated very clearly that I understand that this amount is non-refundable. So that already raised some alarm bells. And then, that was when sort of I took an interest in it. And I wanted to know, because the first thing that jumped off the page at me was that someone is trying to misrepresent this website as a UAE government website. Because why does it have a .ae domain? If it's a UAE government website, it will be .gov.ae. I know that. So why is it .ae? So the first thing I did was go to Whois, which is an internet service that allows you to find out who is behind a website. And it became clear that, first of all, the actual entity behind this website is hiding their identity. I checked out Scam Advisor, which is a platform that you might want to check out in your spare time. Basically, if you're not sure of any web platform, Scam Advisor is a place you go to find out more information about it, who is behind it, what is the trust rating of this website, are the security certificates genuine, etc., etc. And it stated very clearly there, the person behind this domain is hiding their identity using a paid service. And that to me was a smoking gun. Okay, something very interesting is going on here, because why would a government be hiding their involvement in a website? A government would never do that. A government would, make it very clear that we are the ones behind this, right? So first of all, if you recall, I said someone has tried to misrepresent this as a UAE government website. And then now this person is apparently hiding their identity. So who is this and what is actually going on here? So I started going down the rabbit hole. So the middleman entity that was being used, the paid service that was being used to obfuscate the identity of the real owner, it was some Canadian fellow called Jean Gaufran. And I wanted to know who is this person and, what does he represent? So I did some, and by the way, this information wasn't very difficult to find. This is literally 5 minutes on the internet, right? And through his LinkedIn page and what? Sorry?
You said 5 minutes on the internet. I said that would be for you, not some for people like us. That's
well, true. So through his LinkedIn page, I was able to discover this person works at a Canadian IT company called Global Voice Group, which is an IT company that specializes in creating revenue funnels in the public sector. So what I mean by revenue funnel is, if you are familiar with the business model of Alpha Beta Consulting in Lagos, for example, where it essentially takes on the revenue collection duties of the LIRS. That's essentially what this Spanish IT company does. And very interestingly, when I started poking around the website of this company, it turns out that this company apparently only does business in Africa. In fact, most of the company's employees actually African, and this, like, its entire website is filled with anecdotes and sort of past awards and case studies from its past activities in Africa. And for me, that's just like another smoking gun, because first of all, you had a website that was presented as a UAE government website, which was not. It was misrepresented as that. Secondly, the person behind this was hiding their identity. Third, the middleman being used to obfuscate the identity is a middleman that specializes in creating revenue funnels in a way that was very, very similar to essentially what this platform was being touted as. So basically, you're paying 640,000 naira to supposedly verify your documents. And the company behind the platform that is collecting the 600,000 naira says that one of their core missions is to ease the collection of sustainable revenue by African government. So paying this exorbitant fee to verify a document, which you shouldn't need to verify, it's a government institution, it's sustainable revenue for who? Bear in mind that this is not a sustainable revenue for a government, because the entity behind it is not the Nigerian government either. It's a private entity. So what's going on here? So for me, that was enough to sort of go to press with. So we published the story at West Africa Weekly. I also put it out on my Twitter handle that there's something very, very fraudulent going on here. This is not a UAE government platform. This is the private entity that is trying to scam Nigerians. Basically, that this is a revenue funnel that is funneling money from the public into a private bank account somewhere. This is not going to any government. So the very next day, that the Cable, which is an online newspaper, then did its own sort of separate verification. So they, I'm guessing based on the alarm that I had raised, they then reached out to the UAE embassy to confirm or deny their involvement in this platform. And then the UAE embassy stated very clearly, very unequivocally, which is sort of not a very diplomatic thing to do, but they stated very clearly that this has nothing to do with us. We have no knowledge of this. We have no involvement to this. This is not our thing. So it's between you people and your government. Don't disturb us. That was essentially what that statement said. And that, I think, is the point where it then became very, visible to the blind and audible to the deaf that someone had just tried to pull off.
But I mean, but that is a very wicked thing to do, because 640,000 and a minimum of 10,000. Where do you expect? Because people that normally would travel to Dubai, they are not particularly people that are buoyant, but people that have just decided, you know what, I will leave the shores of Nigeria and probably just go on holiday on a small budget with my family. That has been the norm. But I was going to say that for a country to have placed a ban on us in the first place because of our so-called fraudulent, or will I call it insincerity, when our own government is doing this, what will now be the direct impact of that to the company? Would they not be thinking, are you sure we should not just revert back to the ban that and let's just take ourselves away from these people's headache? But let me come to you, Sheyi.
Okay, thank you so much, David. You said something that caught my attention. You said on the website there's a part that says this money cannot be refunded. So, with the recent findings, in your own opinion, I know you are not in that space per se, but in the recent findings that just came out, do you think the people who actually pay these monies can recoup their monies one way or the other? Is there something that can be done? Because I'm looking at the financial loss. For instance, spending that type of amount in this economy is not quite, it's not convenient. So, in your own opinion, do you think there is a way that the people can actually get back their money? Yes, now that it has been established.
Do we even know how many people have actually applied?
I can imagine.
No, because it's stated very clearly that I understand that this payment is non-refundable. So by clicking continue or pay or whatever, that constitutes essentially you consummating a legal contract, a legal agreement that you have understood that you are throwing away your money and you can't get it back. So legally speaking, you don't really have a leg to stand on, unfortunately. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but so you can feel free to speak to your lawyer about this, but I'm 99% sure that
It's going
that
to be
money,
different.
whoever paid it's never going to see it again.
It's gone, not law. Jennifer.
Yeah, also piggybacking off what Uwa was saying earlier, because that was what was ringing in my head, right? I mean, the UAE government is seeing that there are still fraudulent things happening, or I mean, it might have not been the Nigerian government or maybe a Nigerian that did it, right? We can't say for sure. But then it's still linked or associated to Nigeria, right? So what's the implication for this? Because to me, well, let me not speak for the UAE government, but I'm just going to ask you, what do you think the implication is?
I think it's even from the language they use in their statements. I think that in itself betrays a very clear sense of frustration and exasperation with all things Nigeria. Because typically what would happen in diplomatic communication is they will try as much as possible to avoid causing embarrassment to the counterparty government. So when contacted by media house to confirm or deny this thing, they would send a statement that doesn't really say anything. That's the normal standard thing to do. They would say something like, we're going to seek further clarification, something. They'll just confuse you with English, basically. But this time around, they came out and said bluntly, we don't know anything about this. This isn't us, which is basically diplomatic language for you people have been scammed and it's not our business. So you go and sort it out and stop disturbing us, which is not a very diplomatic way of doing things. But I think that in itself sends a very strong statement about exactly how the UAE views Nigeria. Bear in mind that this entire issue started not necessarily because Nigerians were doing criminal things in the UAE. I mean, compared to,